Hello friends, you are watching the Seated Scribe and I am Rudrashish Datto. This Sunday I am back with a review of two pens from the same pen brand. The pen brand was founded in 1931 in India but has recently been acquired by a Japanese stationery company called Kokuyo and today goes by the name of Camlin Kokuyo. The two products that we will be examining today are entry-level fountain pens, the Camlin Elegante and the Camlin Trinity. So without any further delay, let us flip the camera and go for the unboxing. Okay friends, now let me begin the unboxing. We will first unbox Camlin Elegante, which comes in a nice cardboard box like this. This is the pen. So it says Camlin Elegante here. There's a nice soft but firm clip. The body of the pen is made of plastic. There is a metal finial at the end and the cap is a metal cap. Let us now unbox the Trinity. So this is the Camlin Trinity. Camlin Trinity is written or inscribed in this part. Much like this pen, the barrel of the pen is plastic and the cap is of metal. The clip is slightly differently designed, slightly more stiffer than the Elegante, but it's a long deep clip. Unlike the Elegante, there are no metal caps at the other end. So this is how the pen appears. It's a gold plated steel nib. There is a metal band at this section. There is a slight step down and a step up here, possibly giving the fingers that sense of friction as it is gripped and written. There is again a step down at this part. This section is pure plastic other than these two metal bands. They have supplied a traditional plastic converter with this. But this pen is named Trinity because the company says that this pen can be used as an eyedropper where the entire barrel section can be used to hold ink without the converter. It can also be used in the usual sense of a converter pen. They have given a converter already here, and it can also be used with some standard international cartridges. Hence, the model is named Trinity. Let us now open the Elegante and see. This clip is slightly more flexible, but it's a very long and deep clip. Okay, both the pens open with pressure clippings. Now unlike this pen's grip section has a couple of step downs and flares at strategic points. Now the barrel is widest at this point, after which there is a step down with this metal band. It goes on for a couple of millimeters and then there is a further step down of around a millimeter or so. It's a gradual step down, and then at this point it flares for a millimeter or so and the fingers meet this metal band, right. So this is much more comfortable, reassuringly comfortable to grip compared to the Trinity. The nib, much like this pen, is a steel nib with a gold plating. We link up the pen and see how this pen fares. For today's inking, I am using an ink brand called Sahi, which brands itself as the Great Indian Ink. It comes in this wonderful box, and the color that I will be using today is what is termed fractal blue. Well, the ink comes in this wonderful hexagonal shaped ink pot. Let me ink up the Trinity first. Inking these pens are fairly easy. We need to push this part down, dip the nib section in ink and pull it up. Okay, that's a reasonable amount of ink, maybe slightly less than a millimeter. Let me keep this aside. Now we go on to filling this pen. We dip the nib section, pull it up. The vacuums, I admit, are fairly weak, so it has just managed to pull in a few drops of ink. This is a general problem with the plastic converters. The vacuum created is not very weak, and ink holding section usually does not take its full fill of ink. Now we will be doing a writing sample. Well, before I take a writing sample, let me have an impression of the weight of the pens when they are fully inked. Well, when fully inked with the cap on, the Camlin Elegante weighs 20 grams, and without the cap it weighs 11. So they are fairly light pens. This will be light too, I guess. Yes, it weighs 13 grams with the cap on and 8 grams without the cap. So they are fairly light pens, and in themselves the weight won't be an issue with users. Now let me go to the writing. I am using the Elegante first. Now this section makes it very comfortable to hold. There is a slight amount of feedback that I experience at the point where the nib meets the paper. The ink is fairly wet. Maybe it will take a couple of seconds more to dry. Overall, the writing experience is very, very comfortable. Let us now write with the Trinity. I must admit, this gripping section is fairly narrower compared to the Elegante, and users who tend to be a bit uncomfortable with narrower than average grip sections of fountain pens may find this pen a bit of a problem. Well, in terms of writing experience, both the pens uh, give the same amount of feedback. There is a slight amount of scratchiness that I detect in the Trinity, which I did not detect in Elegante. So this is it. Both are fairly good, comfortable writers. This is on 100 GSM page. Now let us change and use a paper which is 65 GSM. I am using this first. This is the Trinity. Yes, there is an element of feedback that I detect in the Trinity. The ink is wet and the nib delivers a fair amount of ink on paper, even in upstrokes and slanting upstrokes. Let us see how the Elegant fares. The scratchiness or the feedback that we get in Elegante is fairly less than that of Camlin Trinity. Both the pens happen to be very fine writers in terms of nib thickness. Downstrokes are wet too, as are the slanting upstrokes. Yes, the ink bleeds through the paper on some sections. Overall, both these pens write very well, but in terms of a comparison, the gripping and the nib length section of the Trinity may suit fingers or palm which are a bit smaller, or may actually suit writers who love narrower grips compared to the Elegante. Let me take a thickness measurement to have an idea as to how the grip section measures at the gripping point. Well, At its thickest, its thickness is 9.39, the Trinity's thickness. At the point where the gripping section meets the nib, it is 8.2, so it's narrower than mean. In contrast, the Elegante has a fairly thick it's fairly thick here at its thickest point at 11.4 millimeters. It tapers down, and at its narrowest it is 9.3. So clearly the grip section of the Elegante approximates a standard grip thickness of most fountain pens, both at the entry level and at the slightly expensive price points, and therefore I guess Trinity would suit writers who love narrower grip sections. In terms of nib sizes, clearly the Trinity is shorter than the Elegante, but the thickness of both the nibs are, as we can see, fairly the same. So all in all, they are very good writers. They perhaps cater to different tastes of users who wish to experience fountain pens at the entry level. And since this pen has a very wide distribution and availability network, we do find Camlin fountain pens among students who wish to experience fountain pens for the first time. So this is all that we had to do with regard to the unboxing and use of Camlin fountain pens, especially the two popular types of the Trinity and the Elegante. Thank you. So friends, with this we come to the end of a review of a very interesting pair of pens at the entry level. Next Sunday I will be revisiting two more products from another Indian pen brand, the Kanpur Writers, which brands itself or its products under the brand name CanWrite. I will be examining the finer nibbed and the medium nibbed versions of its Emperor edition. So till next Sunday, it's goodbye. Keep safe and thank you.